Hey everybody, welcome back to Chaotic Goods. This is Eric. Today we're taking a look at a product I've been using since it globally launched in March of this year, and that is the Academic by Gamegenic. Now this is 133 XL. The other one I didn't buy because it's basically this long, and I don't need a deck box this big. If you've watched any of my stuff, I am big on small deck boxes, things that you can throw what you need in your bag and go to your store. So the larger one was not something I had planned on getting, and a lot of the videos I do on this channel are stuff that I personally use and want to ensure that you are getting the best bang for your buck. Now, you may be wondering why I have two of these. Well, I like the black stealth version, and I bought this after I broke this one. Now you can kind of see here that there's this denting down here. This is from my drop test. There's also another part of it that is broken, which is one of these little rivets here. Which one is it? Oh, quite not. It's this one. So this broke off. This broke off doing my drop test. So if that goes to tell you how good of a product this is, from it just, falling from about 3 feet and it breaking, yeah, kind of a bummer, but I like the product so much, I bought another one. So I'm a little torn, and that's why I wanted to put this video out, because when you compare it in the drop tests and the shake tests, it fails miserably. It absolutely fails those tests, but it's such a good product that it's hard not to recommend it despite breaking it and despite your cards flying everywhere when you do a shake test. So without further ado, let's get into this video and show you what the Academic is all about. Now, I'm not going to get into the nitty-gritty details about this box. What you need to know is it is a Gamegenic product in partner with Tolarian Community College. If you've looked at any TCG video, I am sure you are aware of who the professor is. Amazing product reviews. This is a great box as he made it with Gamegenic. And I love this box, as I said in the introduction to this video. And we're just gonna go over, the weight, the drop test, things like that, and the magnetic strength. So being a Gamegenic product, this does run you about $50. MSRP, I found my two for about 50 bucks with tax, which isn't bad for what you're getting. I know if you look online, there are some stores that are selling it at a much higher market. Now, we're just gonna check this out. So in standard Gamegenic fashion, the top comes off and it latches here on the sides, which is nice. And then you have just this compartment here for tokens and things. You have this compartment with your main cards, and you can put like notepads and stuff in here, or top loaders, bigger, thick cards, tokens perhaps. Or you can take this out and you can put it right here, and then it opens up this whole compartment for you to put other boxes into. And then if you flip this down, we have here is a little cubby with two fantastic Gamegenic slide out drawers. Now, these I use a lot. I use these boxes a lot. I've been using them, but we're gonna just go over a couple things here. And the first thing we're gonna start with is just the magnetic strength. So if you're familiar with my videos, you can look in the top corner here for the magnetic strength. So what kind of magnets does this bad boy use? Oddly enough, these little rivets here aren't the magnets. The magnets are next to it, which we can see here. And they're about the same size as the rivet, which is pretty awesome. But if you notice, it's kind of a little bit of a flaw, in my opinion, is that there's a magnet here, 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 and here. There's no magnets on the inside. So your magnetic strength is only on these four corners. And then you have these little rivets, which if you saw the introduction, break pretty easily. Now, if we check the actual box, we look at the magnets. So we have, these magnets are gonna be a little bit confusing because that's actually what's keeping this in, right? But our actual magnets are gonna be here. Again, I think they could have added one here for extra strength. Here, again, missed opportunity. And then same thing on this side. So you only have 4 magnets. And other Gamegenic products I've reviewed, there's like on these flaps for the actual top of the box, there's like 4 magnets on each side. So I feel like maybe it was to keep the price down because this is kind of an expensive box already. They only wanted to put, 4 magnets instead of, 2, 4, 6, 8. And then you have the magnets in here, right, which are pretty standard strength magnets for your drawers, right? It's fine. So good magnet strength, what you would expect from Gamegenic. Personally, I think, and maybe it was for cost reasons, they didn't put a magnet here, here, and then here, here, because they expected these rivets to like actually do anything, and honestly they don't. And you'll see that in my drop test and my shake test. This fails horribly with those tests. Those tests. Now this is an empty one. Let's see how much it weighs, right? So we're just gonna put this guy in here. So, what is an empty one actually gonna weigh? And this is gonna be in grams, right? So let's weigh this guy. So it's about 600 grams, which, not terrible. This thing doesn't weigh a lot at all. Now, let me get my almost fully decked out one. This one has 6 altered decks in it, and then it has 5 altered decks in it. Yeah, 5 altered decks in it, so it's not fully kitted out, but, there's some weight to it with all of these cards. And we'll put the lid back on, let's give this away. So yeah, it weighs, 1270, so 1,270 grams, right? And so it's pretty hefty, so if you were to fully kit this thing out, and actually put it in your bag, it's gonna weigh, right? It's gonna weigh a little bit, and that's something to keep in mind if you're wanting to use this product to its full potential and fully deck it out with, a bunch of cards here, a bunch of cards here. You got this little slot right here for, like a little notepad if you keep paper notes when you're playing. I know some people do that, or those like magnetic, or not magnetic, they're like the battery ones that you can erase. Those are really cool. They fit right here. And then, you got your decks in these shelves, and then a bunch of tokens, right? So this is gonna weigh a little bit when you fully deck it out. All right, so the next part of this video, we're just gonna take a look at how I generally set this up and what I have in it and kind of what fits in the Academic. So I have just some simple first and second player cards here, and then a little notepad. And then because I take this with me to conventions and things like that, I do have like an Apple AirTag card in here that just fits nicely right there. And then in this main compartment, I have a 50 card double sleeved Weiss Schwarz deck, and then a 52 card WeCross deck, double sleeved, and then a single sleeve altered deck, which is 40 cards. And then in this compartment with the drawers, I have a double sleeved WeCross deck, which is 40 cards. Now, something to keep in mind with double sleeved cards, because they are a little bit taller or thicker, they don't necessarily sit correctly in this compartment. So if I wiggle this, you can see that there's a couple cards that actually fall out. So you can fit maybe 50 or so single sleeved cards in here, maybe 60 just fine, and it's not gonna have that problem. But I have noticed that with double sleeved cards, if I put it in here, there are a few that end up falling, and then if I put it in the drawer, I have to kind of squish the cards down, and then I will get the drawer out, and you can see this isn't the card that was on top. that actually fell down. So it gets stuck to the top here. So that's something to keep in mind if you're putting double sleeve decks in this compartment. You might want to only do smaller ones. You know, if you don't mind that, you know, when you pull your cards out, you may be missing one. So if you're not paying attention, you're gonna be missing a card. And then in here, I just have the some token stuff, and then the rest of the Elric deck for my Wecross deck, and that's what I keep in here. Now for tokens and things, I actually just use the token silo by Gamegenic. I just take this with me if I need it. Sometimes I don't, because my local game store has a bunch of tokens and things like that that I can use, so I don't like to have a bunch of loose things in this compartment. But you know, that's what it's for. Now another thing to note is that when you have it in this orientation with the acrylic panel here, you're able to put in multiple deck boxes. Personally, I don't do that, but if you're someone who has multiple deck boxes and you buy this and you want to, you know, have a deck in a box, and you just put this here, right? This is an ultimate guard boulder. This is an ultimate guard boulder, right? You got two boulders in here, maybe some room for some tokens. You can put some decks in here, right? And what if we just did different orientation, right? So let's just do the Bastion 50, right? That fits, that's great. So we got the Bastion 50. What about the Bastion 100? Doesn't fit with the 50, but we can throw the Bastion 100 in there and still have some room. I realize it's kind of hard because it's black on black. So there we go, Bastion 100. You know, Bastion 50, maybe we want to throw a boulder in there. And what about other random deck boxes, right? I have this 3D printed deck box that has one of my favorite decks of Wecross in it. Put that there, right? It fits just fine. What if I wanted to do this orientation? It fits great. And then we get to like this Ascent Nico deck box from Grand Archive. This doesn't fit, unfortunately. It's just a little bit too big. Even if we did it in like a sideways orientation, it's just a little too big. Maybe if we take the acrylic panel out, we might be able to squeeze this in there. Okay, yeah, look at that. You take the acrylic panel out, there you go. Put your fancy Ascent Grand Archive deck box in there. That's really cool. I have a Vault X deck box, right? That goes in there. I keep my Digimon deck in here. That goes in there just fine. And then I even have a Wormwood deck box, right? Custom wooden deck box. That goes in there, right? It's really cool. This obviously isn't gonna fit in there because it's 2 decks, but you're able to fit a lot of different things in this, which is really cool because, you know, if you have a lot of random ass deck boxes like I do, and you want to take this with you, you know, you can throw 2 decks in here. You can throw, you know, let's say a boulder with one of your decks in here, you toss it in there. I put the panel back, which is why it's not working, but you can put a deck box here, and then maybe just have some loose cards, right? Or, you know, your other deck box isn't gonna fit, so you just take them out and they're sleeved, you put them right here. It's great. So the configuration of this is awesome. All right, so now we're gonna test how many cards actually fit in this compartment. Now I have 40 double sleeve cards here, and then 100 double sleeved cards here. Now, all we're gonna do is we're just gonna toss this in the main compartment and see how many we can fit. It's supposed to be 133 XL, but I've noticed that game companies like to exaggerate on how many cards actually fit into their products. So let's toss in 100 double sleeves. All right, perfect. That fits just fine, and it looks like we have a good chunk of room for potentially 40 more double sleeves. All right, fantastic. So with that, if I squish this down, we could potentially fit, I'm gonna say 150 double sleeve cards. And I guess I could grab some of these, 10. So we'll grab these. Even though the sleeves are a bit different thickness, it shouldn't matter too much. Yeah, so I would confidently say that this main compartment fits 150 double sleeve cards. Now, if you wanted to triple sleeve it, you're just gonna, you know, reduce that amount by potentially 20 or so. I don't triple sleeve cards, and I'm not gonna bother triple sleeving cards unless, you know, people are adamant about me testing triple sleeves. But double sleeves, 150, which is really awesome because again, the box is 133 XL. So this is really cool that it fits this many double sleeve cards without any problems. Now, again, triple sleeving, I'm not gonna bother testing because I don't have any triple sleeved cards. And single sleeves, we can potentially add like 50 or 60 to that list. Now, I don't have that many single sleeve cards lying around. I do have 100 right here as my test sleeves that I do for drop tests and things like that. So we will just grab 100 single sleeved cards and put them in here as they all fall over. Ooh, I forgot. As they all fall over, we will just get those back up. All right, 100 singles. We'll just throw those right there. Yeah, look at that. That's plenty of room. I mean, these are single sleeve cards right here, so I can add this. This is 40, so that's 140. You could probably do 180 single sleeve cards in this main compartment. Again, I don't have a bunch of single sleeve cards lying around. Those are all in a different part of the house right now, and I'm not going to go get them. But I would say about 160. No, because this is 140. I'm gonna say you could probably fit 170 single sleeved cards in here, maybe more if you're pushing it, but that is really nice because you can, if you're the type of person who doesn't double sleeve the decks and you're just single sleeving and you have multiple decks, right? 170 cards single sleeved is, you know, like three and a half decks depending on what you're playing, right? In my teal and pink, I fit 4 altered decks single sleeved in here, which are 40 cards each, and there's a little bit of wiggle room, so that's 160 cards just with that. Now, so that's pretty awesome. You know, if you're in the market for something that, you know, fits 160 single sleeve cards in this compartment, and I'm gonna say, ooh, you know what? All right, so in this little compartment here, we can actually fit 50 cards. So we have 50 cards in each little cubby, single sleeved. You do still kind of run into that problem I mentioned in my my personal loadout, is that the top card, you have to squish it down a little bit and it does get stuck on the top when you pull it out. So something to keep in mind, you know, 49, 48 is maybe the appropriate limit for single sleeve cards in here, but you can fit 50. I wouldn't put any more in each of these cubbies, which gives you 100 cards. We're looking at 160, 170 here, maybe 180. This box alone, and I guess if you really wanted to, you can put cards in here, maybe about 40, about 35. So you can put cards in here. This is like almost a 300 card deck box if you're just putting a bunch of single sleeve cards in here, which is really awesome because, again, the numbers are deceiving for Gamegenic where they say it's 133 plus XL. That's if you're doing triple sleeved decks, right? But you saw in the double sleeved and in the single sleeve, you can fit more than 133 cards in here. You're easily fitting 200 or so cards in here, almost 300 if you're single sleeving. So if you're in the market for a deck box that's compact, fits everything that you want it to fit and more, I think this is a perfect fit for you. Personally, I know the professor created this for his love of Commander. I would never use this for Commander. I don't play Commander, but I would never use this for Commander. I would use other Gamegenic products specifically made for Commander, where it fits 100 cards in one drawer, and then you have the tokens, and then 100 cards in another drawer. I think it's called the Stronghold or something like that. I'll correct in the top corner here. But I wouldn't use this for Commander. I use this for variety play. And what I mean by that is exactly what I was just describing. You have, you know, a Digimon deck, a WeCross deck, 2 Alter decks. You take this to your local game store. You know, you put in 6. You have 6 Altered decks in here is what I keep in this. So like my wife and I, when we went to play Altered on Friday, we can just take this because we have all of our decks in there. It's awesome. Having multiple decks in one box is fantastic when you're a variety TCG player. Now, if you're just like going to your local game store and you want to play, you know you're only going to play Grand Archive, take your 1 box. What do you need the rest of it for? You don't, right? This only weighs a fraction of what a fully decked out academic is gonna weigh. So just take that. But if you go to your local game store to just get out of the house, play your multiple TCGs, or maybe you're undecisive and you have 6 decks, depending on the deck size, they can all fit in here and you can take it with you, and that's fantastic. This is by far one of my favorite deck boxes. For that reason, for an indecisive person or a variety TCG player where you play a lot of TCGs and you want to take it to your local game store, but you only have a handful of decks, take this. I'm regularly putting in a Digimon deck in here, a WeCross deck, an Alter deck, and on occasion I will put in my Y Schwartz deck. Just whatever I'm going to play that day at my local game store is what I'm throwing in here, and it fits in my bag just fine, doesn't weigh too much. So if you're in the market for a good deck box that you're not worried about your cards flying out or it breaking on you, then I would recommend this. If you are a little bit worried about the failed drop tests and the failed shake tests, then I would probably recommend you look elsewhere, because I don't think this design is good enough. And that's saying a lot, because the professor and Gamegenic have a lot more experience than I do in this type of thing. But it seems really lazy to me to not put 4 magnets on each side to ensure an even stronger magnetic hold. If that was the case, it probably would have passed the shake test and maybe the drop test. Maybe it wouldn't have broke when I did the drop test. It's hard to say, but again, it's hard not to recommend this box. I bought it twice. That's how much I like it. So it's really all comes down to your personal preference. If you think you're going to get great use out of this in the way that I described, it's like a variety TCG player or an indecisive person where you're just going to take everything you have with you and you want it in this nice compact form factor, yeah, by all means, take this, buy this. It's $50 depending on where you get it. I don't think you'll be disappointed. All right, so that is the entire video. If you stuck around for the whole thing, I really do appreciate you stopping by and watching the video. I think that this is a great deck box for anybody who is a variety TCG player. Even though it does fail shake and drop tests, this is well worth the money if you're in the market for this specific deck box. There are plenty of other boxes out there, but Gamegenic continues to innovate in a market saturated with the same thing. So thanks so much for stopping by. Feel free to like and subscribe, and I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day.